Howdy, today I'm going to record a short video on how we make labels, usually more an emergency for putting on different small sample sizes or something like that, usually for row tags out in the field to identify individual plants. We order those already pre-printed. But the labels I usually like to use are these Avery 5160. Never had a problem with the quality. They also offer waterproof versions that you can use if you want to go ahead and do that, but they're a lot more expensive. So these are really quite cheap, and I think there's 30 on a sheet, and you can buy them in quantities of 750 or up to 1500. So once I'm done with my labels, and so I'm going to show you a mail merge in this process. The labels will look like this. I always align those to the actual Avery format and look through light, and you can sort of see that they all line up before I go and print 1,000 or so of them. And the way that these are laid out, I actually have a template. So this is just a saved version of the last set of labels I printed for our Serret trials. But there's this saved version, and you can see I've actually installed or made a table here to fit all the information on that we want for this particular trial. But I'm going to do a much simpler label today, just for the purposes of demonstration. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you are going to open up a new Microsoft Word document. We are going to go to Mailings. We are going to go to Mail Merge, and I like the Mail Merge wizard. It just makes things a lot easier. We're going to do Labels. Then we're going to find our label options. And there's always two options here under Avery, and I never remember which one's which. So sometimes I have to scroll through for a minute. Oh, it came up automatically. So it's under Avery US letter, but there's a number of other manufacturers of labels. So I'm not really recommending any one over another. I just have found that the Avery ones are really cheap, easy to get, and available for what we need, and they always seem to work for me. So we're going to do this Avery US letter. Oh, and no, I'm going to have to refine that again. So they're 5160 address labels. Okay. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to find our recipients list. And so that's how we're going to get those labels all laid out like that. And I just click these next buttons on the steps. You could actually go here and do it in advance of the step, but it's going to force you to do it every time you click next. So my data is from Andy, a student who just sent this to me. So I'm going to find that file. Looks like sometimes it says there's two sheets when there's only one. And yep, that looks like the right thing. So we're going to hit OK. And you see this next record. That's what's going to help you do your mail merge. So I hit next, and then I'm going to hit next again. Oops. No, I'm not. I'm going to go to more items here. And so there's two types of information he wants on his label. One is the individual, so we're going to put that in, and then the tissue type. And then close that, and then you can work with the formatting that you want to get. So this is where I showed you that table before. So I would almost always center these. I'd usually have a little bit of information above the name here and usually a little bit below. But you could insert a table like I did. Again, I'll show you this Serret label. So in this one, the location and the colon there are things that are permanently in there, and then everything else is coming out of that mail merge option, that file from Excel. And then we have test. I wrote that. This is coming. Serret is coming from Excel. Entry, that's coming from Excel. This is coming from Excel. The pedigree is as well. So you can put some hard-coded things in here as well as some things that update through the mail merge. So just seeing these two, I'm going to make it centered. I'm going to make it bold. Since that's not very much information for the size of these labels, I'm going to put that here. And then you just hit update all labels. And then you go to preview your labels. And this is what would be printing out. And you can see where the line is there, so there's plenty of space. Sometimes I find on these Excel things, especially with my pedigrees, because they get really, really long, I don't often condense them. It's going to overflow. So that's the other advantage of putting in that table is you can make sure that it doesn't overflow into the next label itself. So that's all there really is to it. The next step would be to print them. I always print from label 1 to 30, which should just be the first sheet. And so I print this just on regular paper. And then once I confirm that those are okay, I'm not going to record that in the video, then I just go back and I print again and I do all. But if you have any blank lines, let's say on Andy's sheet here, he had some blank lines down here and some information like, maybe it's a period, maybe it's just a space. It's going to print all of these labels up to that point. So if you want to make sure you don't waste a bunch of labels, you probably either want to count out how many there are and just put that many sheets in the printer so you can cancel after that, or just make sure that everything's deleted below that. And same thing with names, as I showed you in the Sarah, if the names are too long, it'll overflow, and you just want to make sure you can see some of the longest names when you print that test page. So that's it. That's all I have for you. Hopefully this helps you to figure out how to print some labels for a breeding program or any type of field work. It really does make life a lot easier than handwriting stuff.